If you want to find out more about the 2-5 profile in human design, then this is the video for you. Hi guys, my name is Veronica. I'm a mindset coach and human design guide with over 15 years experience in helping women create their version of success. Last year, I discovered human design. I fell in love with this incredible tool for self-discovery, self-acceptance and self-understanding. And I'm now creating these videos to be able to share more about human design with you so that you can understand yourself on a deeper level and find more alignment in everything you do. So if that sounds good, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And if you do like this content, please give it a thumbs up. This video is part of a series where I'm covering all of the profiles. There are 12 in total. So if you're interested in finding out about any of the other profiles, then make sure to check out the playlist. And if the profile that you're looking for isn't out yet, then bear with me because I will be filming those in the coming weeks. So today we're discussing the 2-5 profile, known as the Hermit Heretic, or as the Reluctant Hero. This profile is particularly close to my heart because I'm a 2-5 profile myself, so I can't wait to share all of the details with you. And if you're watching this and you're a 2-5 as well, then say hello and let me know in the comments. As some of the information that I'm going to be sharing with you is the same across different profiles, I'm going to be inserting a clip from a previous video that I did on the profile 2-4 to talk about, number one, what profile is, and number two, the line 2 portion of this profile, just so that I'm not repeating myself over and over again. I'm then going to come back in real time to talk to you about the line 5 in this profile, and then we're going to bring the two lines together to talk about what it means when the line 2 and the line 5 come together to create the Hermit, Heretic, Reluctant Hero profile. First of all, if you're new to human design, let's quickly talk about what profile is in general, and then we can start to dive deeper into this particular one. So profile in human design gives you insight into two particular things. Number one is the way that you see yourself and your internal experience of who you are. And number two is what you project out into the world, so what other people see in you and how other people perceive you. The duality of these different parts to you are represented in profile with two numbers. The first number gives you insight into your internal experience. This is also known as your conscious line or your personality line. The second number gives you insight into how other people see you. This is also known as your unconscious number because often we're not actually aware of how we come across to other people, and it's also known as your design number. These two different numbers correspond to one of 6 lines in human design. Each line has its own qualities and characteristics, and they can come together in a variety of different combinations. As an example, you could be a 1-3, you could be a 2-5 or a 6-2. So the different combination will determine your overall profile. And there are 12 profiles, so there are 12 possible combinations in total. Now, if you're interested in understanding what about your chart or where in your body graph you can get the information that will tell you what your profile is or what someone else's profile is, then what you want to look at is your gates in both your conscious and unconscious sun. And in particular, you're interested in looking at the numbers after the decimal point. For example, as I'm showing you here, this person is a 1-3 because we can see the 0.1 in the conscious sun gate and the 0.3 in the unconscious sun gate. So line 2 is someone who is naturally gifted. It's someone who has natural talents or natural skills that make them really good at particular things. And because of this natural talent, often someone with a line 2 doesn't even know, number one, that they are talented, and number two, how they do what they do. It comes so natural to them that they just take it for granted and they assume that whatever they are good at, everyone else is good at too. Something that is really different for someone with a line 2 and can also be a challenge at times is that they don't need to learn to be good at something from a particular external source. This is an innate skill or an innate talent that comes from within. So for the line 2, the focus really isn't on always gathering external information or always practicing. It's more about embracing what already comes naturally to you. These are the things that you can do with relatively little effort. These are the things that are just built into your natural behavior. Sometimes these are the things where people ask you, how are you good at this thing? Or how did you learn to do that? Or how do you know how to do that? And the truth is, for a line 2, they often don't even know. They don't know where that talent or skill came from. They just know. It's almost like a built-in part of who you are, part of the fabric of the way that you're built. One of the things to look out for with line 2 is that because these talents, these skills come so naturally to you, and because we also are brought up in a world that tells us that education is really important, that being book smart is really important, that passing tests is the way to measure your gifts, your talents, your skills, your knowledge base. Line 2s can often not even recognize their own strengths. They often don't see that the things that come natural to them are so powerful and are important and are of value. And so it's really important for a line 2 to have that external feedback, because often people noticing the things that you're good at is what is going to help you recognize them yourself. I can definitely relate to this, and for example, there are different things that I'm kind of naturally good at. One of them is connecting to people, and for a long time I just assumed that everyone was like that. I just assumed that everyone can see people the way I see them, that everyone could ask questions that needed to be asked, and could read body language, and could read a room. And sometimes your gifts are not as obvious as I'm super musical and I'm like a musical genius. Sometimes your skills and your talents are in the intricacies and in the nuances of your character. So they're not as obvious to notice, they're not as obvious to celebrate even, and to know what to do with them. I always knew I love talking to people and I love to have really meaningful conversations. I always knew I was really good at building rapport with people. I knew that, for example, people really opened up to me quickly, that I was good at inspiring them, encouraging them. I was good at spotting things that they hadn't noticed themselves, or at helping them reframe certain thought patterns. And this was before I even trained in psychology and to become a coach. I was always naturally good at doing that, even as a child. But of course, when your talent or skill in particular isn't a practical one, like I said, it's so much easier to overlook it and to assume that everyone is able to do the same things as you. Now, there are other things that I'm naturally good at, some things like drawing or being creative, and those were slightly more obvious or easy to spot or easy to notice. So I remember as a child, I was known as being very creative and being good at drawing. But I suppose with the line 2 again, is that requiring that feedback, because I can remember as a child drawing and enjoying it and being good at it and just assuming that everyone else could do the same as I could. And it wasn't until my mum or my teachers or my friends complimented me on my drawing skills, pointed out that they liked my drawings, that I started to realize, okay, maybe not everyone can draw. Maybe not everyone has a particular talent or enjoys drawing or painting or being creative. So that external feedback, hugely important for line 2s. And the challenge that comes up for a line 2 as well is that they often think that they have got to back that natural gift with a qualification or an exam, or with the more standard way of learning things. And the biggest gift that a line 2 can give to themselves is to lean into the fact that you don't have to do that. You know, there are certain things with line 2s that you're just good at. Go with it, enjoy the process, and share your gifts with the world in a positive way and to make a positive difference. You don't have to back those things up with 3 years of, you know, art school or with getting a particular qualification. Of course, there's a time and a place where those things are needed. But I think one of the biggest challenges and one of the biggest pieces of conditioning for a line 2 to overcome, which I've been working on and continue to work on for myself, is to embrace those natural gifts and to just do something good with them. Now, where the term hermit comes in is that when a line 2 is engaged in their gifts and is nurturing their talents, they can very much zone out and they want to retreat and create a safe space where they can just do their thing. They can just be themselves, focus on what they like doing, and engage in the things that come natural to them. And that can lead them to quite literally become a little bit of a hermit. I definitely relate to that again. I need a lot of alone time. a lot of time where I can just focus on the things that matter to me, that I want to be doing, my work, my creative pursuits, whatever it may be. And I've got this desire to, you know, move away from everyone else and be in my own space so I can focus on my own things. And when that happens, you can even become a little bit of a recluse at times. So you have to really find the balance between this line and whatever your other line is. It's about finding that harmony so that you're not just locking yourself away in your hermit cave and saying goodbye to the whole world and just focusing on your own stuff. And looking out for behaviors that come with that desire to be alone. Because, for example, line 2 can almost have this energy of like, leave me alone, don't talk to me, don't come near me, don't interrupt me, don't waste my time. I'm busy doing my things. And so again, this is where we need to look at some of the conditioning that can come with this line and some of the ways that it might be showing up in your life, of course in a positive way, but also looking out for some of the implications that this energy, this line 2 energy brings, that you may need to be more aware of, especially when you are relating to other people and to the rest of the world. Now we're ready to talk about line 5. Line 5 carries the energy of the hero, carries the energy of wanting to save the day, whether you're doing that for your family, your friends, or a complete stranger. This line makes you naturally likable. People are attracted to you, they find you quite mysterious, and they see you as someone that can help them. They do see you as someone that can guide them, that can lead them, and that can save the day for them, that can rescue them or help them improve their lives. Because of this reason, what often happens is that people project those expectations onto you. As a result, the line 5 can very quickly start to feel like the weight of the world is on their shoulders and they need to show up and be helping others and be fixing problems and be taking care of everyone and essentially be the hero in every single situation. So it's really important for a line 5 to learn and to develop the skill of discerning which situations and circumstances are for them to be involved in and aligned for them to share their gift and take care of the people involved, and which situations are simply not for you to fix, not for you to find a solution to, which situations don't require you to be the one to save the day. Now, a good way to start to notice this and to start to make those decisions is to pay attention to the intention that you have behind taking action and behind wanting to save the day. And really being honest with yourself. Are you stepping in because you genuinely want to help and you genuinely believe you can make a difference? Or are you stepping in because you feel like you should? You don't want to be letting people down. You don't want to be coming short of other people's expectations. Or perhaps simply to have an ego boost and to make yourself feel like the hero in every single situation. Being able to answer those questions truthfully is always going to help you decide which situations are aligned for you and which situations and expectations you need to learn to let go of. Because here's the thing, when you step into situations that are aligned for you and where your intentions are in the right place, you will feel energized, you will feel excited about saving the day, about making a difference, about guiding people, about taking care of those people, about finding solutions to those problems. However, when your intention isn't in the right place, and when you're simply stepping in and helping or fixing something or being the hero because you feel like you should, because it's what is expected of you, because this is maybe what you've always done, that's the time where you start to feel resentful of your position. This is a time where you start to feel bitter that everyone is always relying on you. This is when you will have thoughts of, why do I always have to be taking care of others? When is someone else going to take care of me? Or like, when am I going to catch a break? Why am I always having to be the one that has their ish together, so much so that they're able to help everyone else, when all I want to do is live my life and do my own thing? So it's really important to start to notice these different patterns and start to notice them as quickly as possible so that you can start to learn when to step in and when to accept that it's not your role and it's not your place and you don't have to. So now it's time to bring these two different lines together, the Hermit energy and the Heretic energy, to create the 2-5 profile of the Hermit, Heretic, or Reluctant hero. This profile is that of someone who is a change maker, who is here to challenge the status quo, who is here to encourage people to look at things differently and to challenge the existing norms. And in order to find harmony between these two energies and to fulfill this role, it's really important to start to honor what each line requires. Line 2 needs you to step away. It needs you to rest, to recharge, to center yourself, to be in your own energy, to dedicate yourself to your gifts, to prepare yourself so that when line 5 is called into action, when line 5 is called into stepping up, guiding and leading others to challenge the status quo, to improve the world, to do things differently, then you have the energy and the desire to get involved. One cannot exist without the other, because if line 2 is only left to its own devices, it will never come out into the world. It will stay hidden, doing its own thing. But equally, if line 5 doesn't get time to rest and to recoup and to recharge and to prepare, it won't feel empowered and it won't have the necessary skills, experience, energy to step up and lead. If you're not in alignment, what you might be experiencing is a sense of friction. It's a sense of being pulled in different directions. What you might experience is some days I just want to be left alone and I just want to do my own thing, and I feel really unsociable and I don't like to be around people. And some days I'm the life of the party, everyone gravitates towards me. I love to be at the center of attention, I love to lead, I love to guide, I love to be in a position of not necessarily power, but in a position of influence. And so because the difference between these two lines can be quite substantial, it can be jarring. And I can definitely relate to this feeling of like, I don't know who the real me is. Am I the unsociable, introverted version of me? Or am I the sociable, extroverted version of me? And the truth is, I am both, and so are you if you have this profile, because they are both part of your character. They are both key components of what make up your profile. And it's not about being one or the other, it's about being both. And it's about recognizing when you need to nurture and lean into one type of energy versus the other. I very much see these now as yin and yang. I see these two energies as being actually really complementary of each other because they feed and encourage one another to thrive as a whole. Okay guys, so I hope you enjoyed this brief introduction into the 2-5 profile. And if you're interested in finding out more about your profile or your design in general, then I encourage you to check out my human design readings. You can book them through my website. I will leave the link below. Of course, if you're looking for any kind of support from me, whether that is human design specific, or if you're looking for a coach and you have the feeling that I might be the right fit for you, then I will leave all of the details of how you can work with me or where you can find more information down in the description box. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to this channel and give it a thumbs up. I would love to see you here again as I make more videos. If you've got any requests or any questions, leave them in the comments or reach out to me in the DMs on Instagram. My handle is @Mezzetti-Draia. That is all for today, and I hope to see you here next week. Bye guys.